All right, we're going to look at the practice test, and we're going to go through a few things. And before I get into the first one, it is a word problem. So when I'm working with word problems, I want to use a strategy. So up at the top right of your paper here, we're going to write the following. We're going to write K, oops, oh my gosh, F, N, S. Okay, K means know. What is it that we know? Okay. F stands for find. What are they asking us to actually find? N is for not needed. I'm going to just write it this way. Needed. Okay, not needed. So is there any information that we don't need? And then finally, the S stands for strategy. What is the strategy that I'm going to use? Okay, so I'm going to look at this. I'm going to start with this first one. Oh, here, I'll leave this so you can continue to write it down. The average third grader can read 60 words in 5 minutes. What is the average reading rate? Well, first, let's see. What do I know? Well, that they can read 60 words and that they can do it in 5 minutes. Okay, this is what I know. What are they asking me to find? They're asking me to find the reading rate in words per minute. Okay, words per minute. That is a big indicator to me. Okay, so when I see what is that in words per minute or something per something, that's telling me that we're going to be using unit rate, right? And I even labeled it here at the top of this practice test. It will not be labeled on the test. So I know it's unit rate. Well, unit rate is division, okay? So you might want to just put division right up here. And the way we do that is we take that word per and I turn it into a division sign. So what is my strategy? Well, I'm going to divide, in this case, words divided by minutes. Okay, well, let's do that. We've circled both words and minutes. So 60 words divided by 5 minutes. If you know your multiplication facts, you can answer this quickly. If you don't, we can do this the long way. Okay, so the top dog always goes in the house, right? And the bottom dog has to sit on the porch. So 5 goes into 6. How many times? 0. Or sorry, 1. Let me undo that. 1. 1 times 5 is 5. I subtract. I'm left with 1. I bring down the 0. I'm moving a little bit quick, but you get the point. 5 times 10, or sorry, 5 goes into 10 2 times, and that equals 10, so that works out perfectly. So 12. All right, well, I've got this number 12. That's the first step. What is this they're asking for? So I had 12 words, what? Oh, words per minute. So I can write it out this way. I can say words per minute. Or I could also write it this way, and I'm just going to show you. Words, oops, and then a little slash, and then abbreviate minute. 12 words per min. All right, that's the other way I could write it. So I got 2 different ways I could write that, and everybody complains about my writing, so let me just fix it. All right, 12 words per minute. All right, so for 2, if you want to pause right there, pause the video and get all that in, you can do so. For 2, I would want you to try and employ the same strategy that I just did. So if you want to pause the video and everybody try and do 2 on your own. Okay, so you should have done something at this point, all right? And I'm just going to quickly now walk through this. What do I know? I'm going to use that. I know 12 miles He can walk 12 miles in 4 hours because Timmy walks 12 miles in 4 hours. What is his walking speed in miles per hour? Oh, there's that per again. Okay, what are they asking me to find? Miles per hour. And how, now, is there anything not needed? No, we needed all this information, so we don't have to scratch anything out. And what is my strategy? I know when I'm doing unit rate, I'm dividing, and I'm going to replace this word per with the division symbol. Miles divided by hours. Okay, well, miles is 12. Hours is 4. Okay, 12 divided by 4. We can do that one in our head. That's 3. So what am I left with? 3. And I'm going to finish this off by writing in miles per hour. And in this case, I'm just going to abbreviate MI/HR. Miles per hour. Okay, you can pause it if you need to write that down. Okay, now we're going to move on. This was in the warm-up. Convert 3/4 into a percent. So there's really only two things that we're ever going to do division on. One is the unit rate, and the other one is converting a fraction to a percent. So I'm going to write next to it, I'm going to divide. I'm going to go straight to the strategy. I know what they're asking me. This is not a word problem. Divide, and then convert to a percent. Okay? So divide. So I'm going to, any fraction is a division problem, right? So I'm going to divide 3 by 4. And let me just rewrite it here so that we are seeing it. The top dog goes in the house. So that's going to go in here. And this guy has to sit on the porch. So 4 goes into 3 how many times? I'm going to write my decimal before I even forget. 4 goes into 3 0 times. All right. Now I can bring a 0 down to kind of make it a little easier. 4 goes into 30 how many times? Oh, that's a little trickier. Let's see. Well, 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 is 32, so we're going to do a 7. 7 times 4, I just said, was 28. I'm going to subtract. Okay, I can do the whole borrow method and everything, or I can do this in my head, which is just 2. All right, I add the 0 and bring it down. 4 goes into 20 how many times? Well, that one I know goes in evenly because 4 times 5 equals 20. So 5 times 4, I put 20 here, I subtract, I get no remainder. So 0.75. All right, well, that was my first step, 0.75. And now I'm converting it to a percentage. And I do that by moving the decimal place over to the right. So I end up with 75%. Convert, you can pause it in case you want to write that down. Okay. Convert 67% into a fraction. All right. Hopefully you guys can remember how to do this, but if not, we're basically just taking this and putting it over 100. Anytime you're moving a percent to a fraction, you just take that and put it over 100. And then reduce if you can. In this case, we can't reduce. 67 does not reduce, so it is just 67 over 100. Okay, pause if you need to. Otherwise, you're going to move on. Convert 5% into a decimal. Okay. Here, I'll leave that up there. Convert 5% into a decimal. And this one is where a lot of you get hung up because a lot of you, I see, put 0.5 and call it good. But what you're doing is you're moving the decimal, and you can write this in. Let me erase this. 2 places. to the left. Okay, that's your strategy. We move the decimal place 2 places to the left. Well, let me just do it right here. If this is 5%, I go 1, 2. I got to add a 0 in there. So 5% is actually 0.05. All right? Pause if you need to. Okay, let's move on to percentages. The percentage of a number. Okay, we've been working on this. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 for you, and then we're going to you can do 7 on your own. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip 6 and 7. You can do 6 and 7 on your own. I'm going to go straight to 8. All right, so you can come back to 6 and 7. We're going to go straight to 8 because that's the one that is the most difficult, because we got a word problem again. So on a soccer team, 40% of the goals are scored by the star player. If 70 goals are scored in their season, how many were scored by the star player? Okay, what is it we know? I'm going to circle that. I know 40% are from the star player, so I'm just going to even link those. So star player, 40%. We know that there are 70 goals total. What are they actually asking me to find? Well, they want to know how many were scored by the star player. Okay. What are they really asking? What is my strategy? So I've got a few options. We've got markup, we've got markdown, we've got finding the percentage of a number, we've got unit rate. These are all the things that we're doing, converting to a decimal or to a fraction, or all these things that we're doing. Which of these are they actually looking for? They want 40, they know that 40% are scored by the star player. 40% of what? That's what we're looking for, right? 40% of something is what they're asking, because they're saying how many were scored by the star player. I want to know, what's 40% of something? Oh, our other number, 70 goals. So we're looking for 40% of 70. Okay, well, you can use this strategy for these other ones as well up above it. The way we do that, it's the first 2 steps on our markup markdown. Okay, so I convert from a percentage to a decimal. So what's 40% written as a decimal? We move it 2 to the left, 1, 2, and we get 0.4. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is I multiply. So I'm just going to write multiply. So I multiply my percentage written as a decimal by my original number, in this case 70. So it's 70 times 0.4. All right, well, let's do that. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 7 is 28. Am I done? 280. Does that sound right? 280 goals of the 70 goals were scored by the star player? No, something's not right. Oh, I've got 1 decimal to the right here that I need to bring back. 28. Well, that sounds more correct. So 28 goals. Because this is a word problem, I'm going to write in the actual thing. You can pause it if you want to look at that. Okay, moving on, you can come back to use the same strategy for 6 and 7. Markup and markdown. So I'm going to skip 9 and 10, and I'm going to move on to 11, because you can employ the strategies on 11 for 9 and 10. And I'm going to let you try and do those on your own. So basically, we know now that it's markup or markdown because I've got that there. But let's just read this and let's do our KF and S. So at a back-to-school sale, backpacks are marked down 20%. If the original price was $34, then what is the sale price? So let's figure out, what is it that we know? We know, I'm looking for words like, oh, marked down. Wow, that's a big indicator as to what I'm going to be doing for my strategy. All right, because since one of my things is markup, markdown. Okay, that's a clue right there. Markdown how much? 20%. And the original price is $34. Okay, these are the things that I know. What are they asking me to find? The sale price. Okay, so when I say sale price, they're asking for what is the price after the markdown. Okay. And the way we do markdown, I'm going to put it underneath here. I'm going to remind you, we convert percent, go ahead and write that down, to decimal. And I know I've got clicking happening. And that is moving the decimal 2 places to the left. All right, that's step 1. Step 2, I'm going to multiply this percent as a decimal by the original amount. Okay, that's the starting amount. And lastly, in this case, I'm either going to add or subtract. I'm going to either add to or subtract from the original amount. That's my starting amount. Okay, those are my 3 steps, and let me just show you how we're going to do that. And because we're doing mark down, remember that was my down, I'm going to write underneath subtract, I'll just put mark down in parentheses, and under add, I'll put mark up. Another word for that is increase. If you see that word, that's a good indicator that you're going to go up or you're going to add, or decrease for subtract. Okay? These are our terms that we're going to probably see related to these. So write all of that down. You can pause if you need to continue writing that. Okay, now let's actually apply this to the problem at hand. So let's do it in red. I said I want to convert the percent to decimal. That's step 1. Well, I got 20%. So I'm going to convert it to a decimal, which is where I move 1, 2 to the left. So I have 0.2. I don't need the extra 0 on there. Okay, I'm just not going to try and confuse myself too much. All right, great. Done. Okay, step 2, multiply the percent, okay, or as a decimal, by the original amount. All right, let's come over and do this. My original amount was 34. So I'm going to take 34 and I'll multiply it by 0.2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, 68 cannot be right because I've got 1 decimal place to the right. So I need to move it back 1. Oh, 6.8. All right, or $6.80. All right, what's my third step? Oh, I'm going to add or subtract. And they said it was a marked down. So I'm going to use subtract from the original amount. What was my original amount again? Oh yeah, 34. So I'm going to take 34, and when I'm adding or subtracting with decimals, I need to line up the decimals, okay? So I'm actually going to put a little 0 out here because I have this 6.8 out here. I want to make sure these are lined up when I'm adding or subtracting. I'll even put the decimal down here so I don't forget. So these always stay lined up. All right, well, 0 minus 8, well, I'm going to have to borrow. So I got 10 minus 8. Okay, that's 2. Now I have 3 minus 6. Oh, I've got to borrow again. 13 minus 6 is 7. And then 2 minus 0, because this is actually 0 here, is 2. So I have 27.2. So they're asking me the sale price. This is the mark after the markdown. I have 27.2. And because we're dealing with money, we're going to write the dollar sign. We're going to write 27.20. We're going to go to the 100th place. All right? So $27.20 is my final answer. Okay. So you can write that down. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and allow you to see the whole entire paper, although it is now really small, probably too small to read. And you're going to work on the other ones on your own, and myself or Miss Fogel will come around and help as you're doing those. So you need to do number 6, 7, 9, and 10 on your own.